Salute to you all. The brave never fall. I'm Coach MJD Tiger, life coach, mentor. My passion and purpose is helping others find their passion and purpose. And if no one has told you this today, I love you. You deserve to hear that. Welcome to Visions. Self-discipline is an invaluable skill. There are two types of people in this world: those who simply refuse to be better, and those who stop at nothing to be better. And it is a choice. And it doesn't matter what your limitations are or how many opportunities you have, what we're born with, what we're blessed with. In the end, what do we have? Whatever it is that we have, that is all we have. Those are the tools we have to work with. We can make excuses. We can not accept things for what they are. But in the end, do we want to be better? And can we? And are we? I'm excited to share this book recommendation, 101 Zen Stories by Paul Beck. I stumbled upon this as a Buddhist, but this has nothing to do with any religion. These are just very simple stories that put things in perspective in a very unique way. And it makes sense, but at the same time, it makes you ponder and wonder how things can be so simple yet so complicated. How we complicate our lives without trusting ourselves and really just looking into what is right in front of us. And this book does this so well. It's a short read. I recommend the audiobook so you can listen to it while you're working on something. It is a great little find that I am so happy I could share with you, because it is an amazing little book to remind us we're all human and we're all in this together. How are you feeling? How are you feeling mentally, within your mind? How are you feeling physically, within your body? How are you feeling emotionally, within your heart? How are you feeling spiritually, within your soul? These are questions I ask myself every morning, throughout the day, and at night before I head to sleep, hopefully for peaceful and powerful sleep. And I encourage you in this moment to do the same. Ask yourself, take a moment of silence. How are you feeling mentally, physically, emotionally, and spiritually? How are you feeling? You are a hero to your internal villain. Remember that each and every day. You are your own hero. You have to be. We all have to be. Don't allow yourself to become your own villain. Do what you know is right. Be yourself. Be genuine. Be your own hero. You are. Visions, Episode 8, Keeping the Game Plan Simple. I've been looking forward to this one because with keeping the game plan simple, we can do many things or nothing. There's a fine line, a red line. And it's up to each and every one of us to figure out what that line is for ourselves. But it goes deeper than that, because the more simple you can make any task, any relationship, any opportunity, any place, the less cluttered we feel. I'm sure we've all seen the show Hoarders. Now for me, it is something that is hard for me to watch because I have OCD with things being clean. I say OCD in quotations. Everything is dirty. No matter how much we clean it, it's going to get dirty again. And it's those who stress and have anxiety over things being perfect. You know, we are all perfectly imperfect. None of us have the capability to keep anything clean 100% of the time. It's almost impossible. So why stress over it? I can tell you that for me, having to come to terms with things like that, outside of cleaning, of course, but in reality, in real life, where perfection is not something that is always going to gain you success. Then you think about this. When we're born, we are born with success in so many different ways. In fact, we're born with our birthright in place, of course, but just think about all the victories we have just to be alive, and we aren't even realizing we're doing it. I want you to imagine this. Think about yourself as a baby. You don't remember telling yourself to take breaths. We don't even do that now as adults. We go to sleep every night, well, as adults, as human beings in general, but when we're sleeping, we trust our body to take over and continue ourselves being able to take in oxygen. Just think about this when you're a baby. You have to have trust, because you have to trust without even realizing it that somebody's going to feed you. Someone's going to change your clothes. Someone's going to bathe you. Someone's going to make sure that you're not unhealthy, at least unhealthy as possible. Just think about this as a baby. You're relying on other people as you grow older to teach you things and to show you new experiences, to show you what this world is all about, to show you what your family and your where you live. All of these things are tied into things we can control. I talked about this a lot in phase 1 of the Brave Never Fall podcast. And it's just the amount of victories we have to accumulate without even realizing we're gaining these victories. We have to learn every day. We have to understand emotions that are changing every single day, every year, every decade, until we're old enough to kind of get a grasp of it, and then we're thrust into something else. You know, a new school, university, a new church, a new town, a new relationship, new family, new friends, new opportunities. Life does this for us. But these are all victories. We have so many victories that are wrapped up in those periods of time where a lot of the victories are completely out of our control, and we're gaining victories out of reacting and responding to things that we're obligated to do, until again we get to a certain age where things start to get complicated. And that's right around the time where shouldn't things be simpler? You would think about this in some different context if we could go back and be a baby and have enough awareness of our situation as a baby to say, this has to be very complicated. This is stressful. I have to rely on everyone for everything. You think about how stressful that would be, how much anxiety that would give you. For most of us, that level of lack of independence and freedom, we would feel smothered. We would feel like, why can't I just do this for myself? And that is the goal for us, right? Most of us, we're trying to be independent. But connected, of course, but independent, and we can survive on our own. We can thrive on our own. We can do all these things without the aid of other people. But we welcome the aid of other people because we know that's needed in life. And we should be doing the same for others. Remember, relationships are about giving. We need to give as much as we're giving, if not more. But if you're a baby or you're a little kid or you have you're relying on all these people, places and things to keep you afloat and happy, you lose sight of that and entitlement kicks in, selfishness, and then we end up not getting as many victories as we would like. Now, how do we make sure that that doesn't happen? I had someone ask me not too long ago, someone I've been coaching, what can I do to find peace? And I have the same answer for anyone who asks me that question. You have to start with making things simple again. And they say, again? I'm like, yeah, you had it once, you just don't remember it. I say, what do you mean? There was a point in your life where you were doing things and gaining victories and you didn't even know it. Tell you a quick story about my son. My son was born 4 months early, and he fought and fought and fought. Until this day, he's almost 13 years old. He couldn't tell you that he fought through that. He'll fall down and he'll have tears in his eyes just like any other kid. He dislocated his knee a while back, and he reacted as any other kid would react. He doesn't know that he's actually been through far, far worse. He has fought through so much more than that to survive death every day for months and in neonatal intensive care unit. To push through that, he has no idea how strong he is, but it's within him. And I remind him of that. And it gives him strength and it gives him confidence because he has been through stuff. He just has to be reminded. And the same goes for us as adults. We just need to be reminded that we have survived things, that we've gotten over the hump of mountains and volcanoes in our lives, so to speak, that we will reach a valley of peace and tranquility again within ourselves. Because all the external stuff, we can't control where everyone else is on their journey. We may be in a valley, someone else may be on a volcano. But the point is, whatever we're doing, wherever we're doing it, whoever we're doing it with, there comes a point where we have to ask ourselves, are we doing too much or too little? And the only way we can really know that is by bringing everything back down to the source. It's like the Matrix movies. It's all about getting to the source of the creation of the Matrix. They could walk around in the Matrix, they could see the agents, they can see the machines in the real world. But the goal is to get to the source. Only there will you find the answers. Only there will things actually be presented to you to even have an opportunity to change anything. Otherwise, what is the point? But the only way to do that kind of thing is to bring it back down to something that is simple. The problem with human beings, all of us, is that we overthink everything. We overthink everything. We get too much advice. The internet has too much information, which is good and bad. I mean, too much information is bad because where do you start to find what aligns with you? But it's good that all that information is out there because there is something eventually that you will find that is aligned with you. It's balance. It's always about balance. But the core of what I'm trying to say here is that how can you see anything or be aligned with it, with anything, any place or anyone, if you are not aligned with yourself? And not only that, you're not aligned with the most basic, simple functions of who you are. That they are foggy and lost. What are those things? Most people will recall back in their childhood certain memories and things that they go through. And our childhoods obviously are tied to who we are today. And I have had conversations in the past few weeks with people where I have told them there was a point in my life where, right up until the point where my father died when I was 14, that was a version of me. And there was a version of me the moment I found out he died, all the way up until I had my awakening at 37. There was another version of me. When I had my awakening, when I said no more, I want to be simple again, it tied me back to the kid that I was, and that now at age 42, almost 43 years old, I can now say to myself, this version of me is the continuation of who I thought I would be had my father not died and had all this other stuff happen in between that triggered me. That my father dying was a trigger that lasted all the way up until who I am now. So I have to lift out that part. And to me, I get to go back and shake hands with my 14-year-old self and pat myself on the shoulder and say, you made it. You're going to go through a weird patch, but this version of you is still here. And I feel tied and at peace with my childhood for the first time in my life. Not because I ran from it, not because I overcomplicated it, because I kept it simple. I returned to what it was like to be free, peaceful, and simple. And I had that before all the chaos. And if I had that before and I didn't have any control over it, why can't I have it now when I do have control over it? In other words, there are no excuses to not be at peace with yourself no matter what. And I'm not saying that someone who has gone to war and came back and they have PTSD, they have their arms and their legs missing, they're limited mentally, physically, emotionally, they are not who they once were. But they have something that a lot of people who are no longer with us have, and that's life. And as long as that is something that is present within us, we have an obligation to ourselves to do the best we can with what we have. And that is not to say that everyone is the same nor different. That just means person A has their set of circumstances. Person B has their set of circumstances. Person C has their set of circumstances. Those circumstances can encompass a whole lot of things, from health to crisis, financial problems, emotional conflict. The list goes on and on and on. Mental health, where they live. All these things are right in front of us. And we have to see them for what they are and simplify them to what we want them to be. Because if we keep looking up at a tree, we'll never ever be able to appreciate it. We have to see the whole thing. We need to step back and look at the whole tree. It's not very interesting just to look up into a canopy of a tree. It's much more beautiful when you can step back and look at the whole tree. And life is like this. We talk about the butterfly effect all the time. What little thing that you do, the most simplest thing, the consequences that simple choice has, that affects so many different people. The power we have through simplicity is insane when you start to think about it like that. And it starts with us. That butterfly effect starts with us. That one little choice that we make can, in one little moment, at a crossroads moment, can just change the lives of not only ourselves, but so many people. The importance of it cannot be stated enough, which is why the only way I can wrap my mind around it is that it has to be simple. It can't be complicated. It can't be something that is muddled. It can't be something that is going to fill you with dread and anxiety and make you run from it. It should be something that makes you go towards it. We want to be tethered to simplicity. Simplicity is what gives us freedom, yet connection. We can't be connected to people if we're in conflict and in a crisis all the time that we're creating for ourselves. What's great about life is that we can actually laugh and have fun and just be peaceful and be aligned with the people that truly bring us joy, happiness, and peace, not because we want them to bring it to us, but because they have already found it in themselves, and we have an obligation, if we're going to be around them, to find it in ourselves as well. We can dream big if we want, lie to ourselves if we will, but in the end, what it comes down to is, what do we have? And if we are a chaotic, broken mess, that is not something that most people are going to want to be around. We can't blame people for not wanting to be around us if we are creating this energy within us, this persona that I am, when really it's more like I'm not. And if we're not, that's fine. Who says we have to be I am, quote unquote, all the time? We could be I'm not. The problem is when you're in the I'm not mode, keep it to yourself. We can't allow that to filter to other people. It's unfair. Well, why is it unfair? Because we're asking the world to accept something we wouldn't accept in return. There's too many broken people out there, mentally, physically, emotionally, spiritually, who are completely aware that they are. They're not doing anything about it, but yet they want people around them who are not broken. We attract who we are. That doesn't mean there's some transitional phase in there that can be ignored. Of course, if we're working on something and we're in a relationship with someone who's also working on something, as long as we're communicating and we're not going to bed every night pissed off at each other, then it's probably going to work. There's a study out there that says in any form of relationship, this is business, love, friendship, family, it doesn't matter. Any two people who can communicate effectively stand the test of time with longevity with their relationship versus those who do not communicate effectively. And that doesn't mean one person can communicate and the other person cannot. That means both people value good communication. They will not walk away from each other without something being resolved. And it comes from mutual respect. It comes from mutual understanding. And it comes from simplicity of the relationship itself. It is a relationship that is void of drama, unnecessary chaos, and forbidden crisis. It is at our core what we all strive for. Yet when we get it, it's almost like it's too much responsibility. We're putting too much weight on it, too much strain. Keep it simple. Keeping it simple is what we have to do with everything. We have to have a game plan every day of keeping things simple. And I say game plan it because that is what I do every day. When I wake up, that exercise that I do, mind, body, heart, and soul, that is a game plan. I am mentally, physically, emotionally, and spiritually checking in with myself so I can say, okay, what's the game plan for today? I need to keep it simple. Once my day gets going, I apply that same logic to this relationship that I'm in. Okay, what's the game plan for today? Am I giving enough? Have I listened to this person enough? Am I being who I said I was going to be? Am I being genuine? Am I being selfish? That's my game plan. I need to make sure that I am on point with that. I don't want to take this person for granted. What are the things that I have? Am I making sure that I'm keeping things simple so I can acquire the things that I need and want in life versus, by the way, need versus want? Get those in check in simplicity as well, but that's a whole nother video. But are those things being kept very simple so I can understand the difference between the two and how they both can serve me and how I can get, it's okay to have desire. I can get desire out of basic needs. I can get what I want, but I have to figure some other things out. Same with the places that we go to. Is this place serving me? Is it simple? Am I overcomplicating things? Am I thinking too big, too fast, or too little, too long. These are all things that go into a game plan. And game plans are freaking easy to understand when you really want to figure it out, because they're simple. You don't want to overcomplicate a game plan. You don't want to get in your head and be thinking things are too hard. You want things to be simple. That is how we get discipline. Discipline is so easy because it's so damn simple. To the point sometimes I have to admit I scratch my head when it comes to people who say they really want something in life, but they won't find any sort of discipline within that want. And that's because it's a want. It's not a need. When we can start turning our purpose into need instead of our purpose into want, that other video I was talking about, it seems to be filtering into here. So let's just go into it. Need versus want. It goes with the game plan. If you want something, you need to find out why you need it first. Not the other way around. That is the opposite of simple. We need to breathe air. We don't want to breathe air. There's a big difference there. We want to be in relationships. We don't need to be in relationships. There's a big difference. And it's different for every person. And when we can put a game plan together that says, hey, where are my needs? Simplify them. We don't list 155,000 different freaking needs. What are your basic core? Your top 3 needs. And off of that, you can branch off and have your wants, your desires, your passions. But we got to have some groundwork first. There has to be some boundaries set first. There has to be some values, some morals, principles first. Otherwise, what's going to happen is you're just inviting a bunch of clutter. Again, going back to the hoarding. It starts off with 1 book and ends up with 10,000 books. Like that. It started off simple, but it turned into complication. Complications and distractions and all these things that we have in our lives, we can accumulate them just as easily as we can accumulate excuses about why we don't have who we want, what we want, where we want. Stockpiling excuses, not owning up for who we are, all that kind of stuff is counterproductive to simplicity. And there's where the game plan comes in place. I recommend journaling. The perfect place to put together a game plan every single day, just a blueprint, a script, whatever you want to call it. Put together something that you do every single day that's super simple. And it works. It actually works. The simpler, the better. I can't recommend it enough. My life has changed over the past few months because I have simplified things that I had overcomplicated. The clarity that I have now when it comes to things, just because I just decluttered everything around something that I needed, not wanted. Needed. Made life simpler, and now things that I used to stress about, I don't stress about them. Things that I want, I get them easy. The limited beliefs and things that I have in my brain, no longer a factor. And it's because I keep everything simple. I cannot fail if it's part of my needs and wants. I have a right to make mistakes. I have a right to be forgiven. I have a right to allow other people to make mistakes. I have a right to forgive them. It is reaching out with all of who you are and saying, I accept all of what is going to come in. And because I'm confident and life is simple for me, I don't have to worry about being attacked. I'm going to have my boundaries up. I'm going to have everything up just in case. But for the most part, I'm not worried about it. Because I know who I am. And I know what I have to do. And I'm keeping it simple. And one of the reasons why I became a Buddhist, and I believe in all religions, I believe I have taken a little bit from every religion, especially from Christianity. I was grown on it. I've always liked the stories from the Bible. I've always liked going and listening to my pastor that I've been going to ever since I was younger. I mean, when I mean younger, I mean like 20, almost 30 years now. The simplicity of his word. And I'm a Buddhist. And I have no problem listening to him, a non-denominational church that my mother has been going to for forever. It feels good because his message is simple, and that's more what I'm aligned with, and I realize the benefit of it, which is why I wanted to share this in this video, was that yes, it's very hard sometimes to take things that we not necessarily take for granted in this sense, but things we've grown accustomed to being a little bit of a struggle, a little bit of a chaos. It's almost like we need it because it kind of gives us focus, and we lose sight of that. And I get that. There's a reason why we have the word complacency, because we all do this. We all say, well, this is really simple, and then over time somehow it became a struggle again, and we have to say, whoa, stop. What happened here? This used to be super simple. Why is this so hard? Why is this so complicated? What's all the drama surrounding this thing? And you find, because this over here wasn't attached to it before. This thing wasn't. This person wasn't in my life. These things, this is how it goes. This is why I said earlier in the podcast that when you're an adult, if you could go back and shake the hand of your childhood version of yourself that had looked forward and said, I believe when I get older, I'm going to end up like this. If you can go back and shake the hand of your former self and they look at you and say, yep, that's exactly what I thought I'd be. That's what you want. And that's what I loved about my awakening, and almost my second awakening that I had not too recently. It's just a peaceful endeavor within yourself when you can go back in your mind, your heart, and revisit your childhood and say, yes, there was a giant patch there, but I can confidently go back and shake the hand of my young self and say, whatever you're dreaming up, I'm not quite there yet, but I'm heading in the right direction. I got lost. Things happened. I made some bad decisions. I had a bad year. I had a bad couple of years. I had a bad decade. The world got turned upside down. On and on and on. But I'm here. And your wishing for it is not in vain. I lost sight of it, but let me tell you that I am the version of yourself that you hope to be when you're my age, 30 years from now. That'd be an awesome conversation to have with yourself. But it can only be a conversation you can have with yourself if it's genuine and is real. Because in the end, it's our individual lives that will dictate. As someone like me, I'm at 42. In 20, 30 years, is that version of me going to come back and shake my hand and say the same thing? There is no end. There's always something to improve. Maybe it's a person, a version of you a month ahead of now, a year ahead of now, 10 years. The time limit is irrelevant. The point is, where are you going forward? And if you could talk to your future self, what would they tell you? Are you close? What are you dreaming of? What are your passions? What is your purpose? Are you at peace with yourself? We won't know that until that person comes back and shakes our hands, and really that's all in our minds anyway. The important part is that, yes, that's a fun exercise to think about, and we can move forward with that, but really what happens is it's just things we still can't control. But we can control what we have now, and what we can control the most is, are we overcomplicating what should otherwise be a very simple life? And we can't blame other people. Yes, we're influenced by family members, friends, and all the things that we do in life. But at some point, we are the adults. At some point, we have to make our own decisions. At some point, we have to look those in the eyes that intimidate us the most, that bring us fear and anxiety, and say, no more. I'm making my own damn decisions. If I want to be with this person, I'll be with them. If I want this thing, I'll have this thing. If I want to be in this place, I have this place. And it's because it's my choice. It's something that I'm aligned with. It's something I'm tethered to. And there's absolutely nothing wrong with that. We have to cut the cords of fear, doubt, and anxiety and stress that comes from the pressure of other people believing we should live our lives a certain way just because their lives are overcomplicated and we're trying to simplify them. Our goals in life are shrouded in our individuality, who we are. We have one shot at this life and it's short. And if our game plan is overcomplicated and full of drama, you will go nowhere. We will go nowhere. We will be stuck, and there is no future in being stuck. Just a lot of waiting around with your hands in your pockets, tapping your foot and saying, why aren't I going anywhere? The game plan needs to be simple. Your life doesn't have to be complicated. It was never meant to be. We weren't born to be complicated. We weren't raised to be complicated. We don't deserve to be complicated. Complicated doesn't mean entitlement sets in and selfishness. It just means we are doing all that we can, but keeping it simple. And if no one has told you this today, I love you. You deserve to hear that. Salute to you all. The brave never fall. We rise and maintain balance.